90th, get that mic on. The 90th episode of the Blathering Live has begun. It's still, I got sunshine out in my part of the world here. Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Apsok. You are watching live or listening later on the podcast. You might be watching on Facebook on my pro page. That's one with the only blue check mark I've ever received in my life. You might be watching on Twitch, or you might be part of a raid party. Shout out to Maud Garrett last week, who raided us with a big party of for book fans and her followers. And 2 weeks prior, Michelle Boyd did the same thing. So if you're on Twitch, hello. But also, YouTube's kind of the main home for this live show here right now. Here's the deal for those just tuning in. Up top, you get to hang out with me while people are, going, oh, crap, Ken's on. You might be people like Ranger Donald, who says, hey, Ken, and everybody. Ranger Donald still has one of the best avatars and profile pictures I've ever seen, with those long flowing locks. If you're on the podcast side, just at least go over to the live stream at about 1:36 so you can see Ranger Donald's picture. It's the best. And the first question of the night is this. Jennifer Miro asks, why is Jen Miro so awesome? We're going to get into a little bit. When people get in here, we're going to get into one of the big reasons that Jen Miro is so awesome. And one of it was a birthday gathering I had Friday night that would not have happened if not for her. But also, I'm double-checking my alarms. I got 2 alarms set for tomorrow morning. 2 alarms set for tomorrow morning because I've got to do Jen a big favor. And I got to drive her someplace tomorrow morning very early. So she's so awesome. She deserves that kind of wake up. I owe her the 6:45 wake up, and I'm happy to do it. We'll talk about that. You got travel tips, for people traveling abroad or other parts of the country. We might get into that today. Vermont Mike is here. I love Vermont Mike. Just saying. I'm here. And if you've ever heard Vermont Mike's voice, it's very authoritative. It's sexy. I'll just say it. Vermont Mike might be uncomfortable with me saying that. Actually, no, I don't think he would. I think he'd be like, fresh, but he'd also enjoy it there. I'm going to pour something that was a birthday gift for me. Nika Coffee Grain Whiskey. Man, the eyes are getting so old. This was a gift given to me by my riding partner, friend and riding partner, my FAP. We used to always try to debate on how the appropriate and less dirty way to say that was. My friend and writing partner, Matt Key. I saw him Friday, and I have not seen him in a couple months. He's working on something really cool right now. And he gave me this whiskey that he had in Japan. He was recently in Japan. Actually, he was there during that earthquake and that tragedy. He was at the airport, and they had that tragedy over there, the planes that collided. I was just happy to have my friend get home safely. And he came with him a taste for this whiskey, and he gave this to me at this birthday gathering Friday night, and Matt pulled me aside, and it was a no gifts party, and it wasn't even a party. It was a gathering. Jen Miro hosted it, and so I didn't want to overload her with the 40 plus people I would have wanted to invite. We had a nice, real comfortable group, but I said no gifts. And Matt Key shows up, fashionably late, but he had worked a long day. And he hands me this and goes, hey, here's a gift for you. It's this whiskey. I tried it in Japan, and I loved it. And then he actually told me, pulled me in closer. He's like, don't share it with anyone. This is just for you. I want this to be just for you. So I'm going to pour tonight. Ventress is here on Twitch. Ventress87, good to see you here. Used to watch me play games on the regular back in the day. Lauren Romo is saying we are live. We live, and Alex Corey here as well. Jen has a follow-up question. Why is Ken Apsok so awesome? I don't have that answer. I don't even really think he is. I don't even know if I deserve this whiskey. But you know what? I worked out today. What's that? Is that a 2-finger pour? Let's see here. Let's see. Giggity. That's 2 fingers. There we go. We're going to try that. Oh, that smells good. I'm gonna have to send this clip to Matt Key. He doesn't really go on the internet these days. He won't even know what's going on. We've got William James Roberts. I know him as Hell Kid though, and territory legend indeed. This man right here, he's a former Knapsack File guest. He's doing the Lord's work out there, working to break people of addictions and other various problems. He's had a wonderful hard road his life that he has fought through so many things. to be in a wonderful position to help others. I really look up to this man. Also, at one point, I really looked up to him as I caught him outside of a wrestling ring. And hell, kid, we've never followed up there. Turns out on that, I hairline fractured my spine on that move. And I can only sit on pillows like an old man these days. But you know what? I'd do it all over again. I'd catch you, friend, because keeping you safe is now helping other people's lives. I'm not saying you're like Doc Moonlight Graham from Field of Dreams, because you had more success in the wrestling ring than Moonlight Graham had on the baseball field. But I'm happy you're here watching on Facebook. All right, I gotta try this. All right, let's slow down the show here. You know the drill. You can see the pinned message. If you got a question, ask it. I'll favorite that question. We'll come back to Jen's questions. And then if you got a super chat, or you want to support the show by going to direct support down there, streamelements.com/CanNapsuck/tip. A link is in the YouTube description, or should be on the descriptions on Facebook and Twitch as well. You can leave a cheer or a bit on Twitch. You can do all those things to help support the show, help me. But I also say this, if you got a question for me, if you post it in there, and I don't want to answer it, but if you make it a super chat, I'm going to acknowledge it. Maybe if it's a question that legally I can't answer, I won't, but I'll acknowledge why that's going on there. Joseph Thomas is here. Joseph had a great call last week. Joseph, we're happy to have you here. All right, here we go. This is a fine Japanese whiskey here. All right. Ah, that's smooth. No mixers, just little rocks this time. Just little rocks. Before we get to the calls, and I want to hear anything from you tonight. We got a lot of the news of the world going on out there. Just looking at what is going on in the world, as always, could be a little bit overwhelming. I am keeping, like a lot of people, my eye on the protests, or CNN calls it, the tense protests over Israel-Hamas war as they rock college campuses. As with that Middle East issue, I don't shy away from reading about it. I don't shy away from learning about it. I don't shy away from having thoughts and opinions on it. But I do shy away having anything definitive because it's such a nuance and complication, doesn't even cover it, but is also so impassioned. And watching this stuff today, watching it unfold, I do think of some of the stuff that took place in the 60s and 70s. I hope we don't get to a Kent State return. I don't think we will, but you never know. It's so passionate. And then you had Mike Johnson, who I am not a fan of. I do approve of his, I think, I don't want to call it brave or courageous. It's the bottom line, the basic level of his job. But I do like him pushing forward some of these aid packages. But I do agree with a lot of folks that I don't know if we should be supplying Israel with money and weapons, even if they claim to use them for defense and they're not. I don't know, and I watch this stuff, and I watch Mike Johnson, and I watch some of his cohorts go down to some of the sites, call for the head of Columbia University to resign, and just kind of stick their necks out there, and not in a courageous way, but just kind of get in the middle of it there. I don't know. I don't know about that. So that's going on in the news. If you got thoughts on that, I don't want to wade into Gaza with a live caller, but if you wanna, we'll go. Why not? This is an AM radio talk show for a modern age. We go where you guys want to go. I do also. Side note: I love tuning in. CNN is not my only news source. I always say that on my 20 Minutes of Coffee members only live show. But CNN is. I just love it because it feels like a newspaper. So you got the tense protests. You've got the very important stuff going on. You have some of the Supreme Court stuff looking at, what is it, Idaho? Is it Idaho that does not want to provide emergency abortions in their ERs? And if that's upheld, then you got the 12 other states who might be looking to do the same thing. That could be an issue there as well, so it's important to watch that case. But also, the Arizona House voted to overturn the 1864 abortion ban. And paving a way to leave the 15-week limit in place. I think that's important to watch as well. So you got all that. But then you got down here, Reggie Bush getting his Heisman Trophy back, 2005. And I think I agree with that. I think I agree with that over the course of years. I think I've changed my opinion on Reggie Bush, but also changed my opinion on college athletics. I'm not a fan of college sports. But I do think there's a lot of money made off these college football players. And the cynical thing, and these college athletes on any field there, the cynical way to look at it is they get their money. They get their money while they're in college. I've always known that. People have known that. The money finds its way to your bed. Cash envelopes find your way. That's always kind of been the case. But the whole USC thing and Bush losing his Heisman Trophy just seemed to be a fall guy for something, for an institution that's now been uncovered a little bit more. So I'm happy for Reggie Bush. Did he ever play for the Miami Dolphins? I think, did he play for the Miami Dolphins? Wasn't there like a weird late run? We go all over the place on this channel. That's what we do. I'm going to check on Football Reference. Let's see. I can share this tab instead. Reggie Bush. Didn't he have it? And you guys in chat have probably answered this, but I like seeing this. Reggie. He didn't. No, he did. Yeah, 2011, 2017. He had a 1,000-yard season with us. Gee, man, I've just, you stop watching football after a while. You forget things. We'll talk about the NFL draft. We got that coming up as well. So there you go. Yeah, Reggie Bush. Right there, 2011, 2012, Miami Dolphins. See, those were some okay seasons. Goes to Detroit, has some okay seasons there too. Interesting career. Didn't pan out, didn't become the Hall of Fame player in the NFL that people might have thought, but that's okay. That's okay indeed. All right, let's look what's going on here in the chat here. You're listening to the Blathering Live. I'm glad you're all here. Let's do the thing. First question. Well, Romo, NFL draft this week in the great city of Detroit. What positions would you like your Dolphins to get in this year's draft? I think they're looking. The Miami Dolphins are a team of speed on offense and on defense. They're retooling a lot of defense, but I'm excited with the offense to continue to get better. A lot of the key players are back. I'm a Tua fan. He frustrates me at times. I think at times he was a little soft, but I think I like him as a leader and as a person. I think the players do as well. And he led the league in stats. He led the league in some passing yards and stuff like that. You can't look away from that. There's many years that Marino didn't do that. And we haven't had a quarterback since Marino that did that kind of stuff. So I'm happy with Tua there. So I like getting some offensive speed. However, it's never a sexy pick. Never a sexy pick. But I think an offensive lineman would be a good thing for the Dolphins. I really think it's always easy to overlook offensive lines when you're building a team, but you can't. So there you go. Romo, your Detroit Lions, great season, city-saving season. So you tell me, follow up to you. What do you want the Detroit Lions to do in this year's draft? First question in the books there. Now, we coming back to this question from Jennifer Miro. Why is Ken Epsick so awesome? This sounds like I'm propping up myself there. I'm not. But before we get to the next questions, I was going to kind of go down this path, looking back, reflecting on the birthday over the last week. It was a very quiet birthday, and I hadn't planned on doing anything. And that's not necessarily from a point of self-loathing. It's from a point of exhaustion. And also I just felt, there's not much to celebrate this year. Let's keep it low-key. But Jen and Grace pushed for me to have a fun little gathering, and we did. Like I said, small group of folks. And AJ Schwackert's here, and AJ says, happy belated birthday. We accepted. AJ used to call in or be there on the old, not call in, I should say, but be there in the old afternoon days. And I think it wasn't we often think, and maybe it's just me, that when it comes to like birthdays, that the celebration is about you. And that can make a lot of us uncomfortable, right? And maybe it's difficult for us to celebrate ourselves. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, And sometimes, hey, I think it's good that you don't want to celebrate yourself all the time, that you know your place in the world. I also think it can be bad. And I think I tend to take it in a bad direction where I just don't want to celebrate who I am. But what I did feel, and I've had wonderful parties in the past. I've had my backyard full with 100 people, and I've done that. And I've celebrated birthdays by myself in the back of a work vehicle when I was in security. My 23rd to 24th birthday, I was spent alone. I showed up at work, I bought a couple magazines at the old Barnes & Noble, probably a Star Wars Insider and a baseball magazine or something, and I hung out with my friends who were on working that night. I got in the back of the security vehicle while they worked. I just thumbed through magazines and celebrated alone. So I've gone that. I've gone to big parties. I've gone to bars. I've gone to those events. Next year, it's possible I'll be in Tokyo because of Star Wars Celebration, which happens on my birthday. But Friday night, with a small group of wonderful people, I realized in the weekend hours after reflecting on it, it certainly wasn't about. It's not about a celebration about me. It's not getting together to have people say nice things about you. It's getting together with people who matter to you and allowing them to celebrate you, but you celebrate them just as much. And I had a lot of fun just looking around at these cool people in my life. And I love looking back at Facebook memory photos and seeing parties from years gone. And there's people, most of my birthday parties from the early 30s that I was documenting on Facebook, I don't see those people regularly anymore. Every once in a while, I'll try talking to them. Every once in a while, I'll say hi. But man, I love kind of looking back and going, for that time, that era, I loved those people in my life. And Friday night, we didn't take any pictures either. Grace and I realized on the way home, we have a bad habit of not taking pictures of just ourselves just to commemorate. And then Jen texted me the next day. She's like, I didn't take any pictures, and I didn't either. And I'm bummed about that, but it's okay. You're in the moment. And it's a chance to plug into the people around you and to plug into the people around you at this point in your life. Because it will change. It will always change. And it's not always a bad change. It's just a change. So that made my weekend really warm. And I hope you all out there get to celebrate yourself and celebrate those around you on your next birthday or the next thing you want to celebrate or just a random Friday. That's why I like gathering with folks. That's why I like going to a group, going to the bar or, throwing a fire pit up in the backyard, inviting some people over. It's about the people in your life at that time. On that note, we go back to football. Lauren Roma says depth overall, like a defensive and offensive line. See, it's not sexy, but you got to go for the line work. Got to go for the line work. We got Barry Cohen, BS Cohen, checking in, saying Ken is awesome. That's a typo. He corrected the typo, but I'm going with the uncorrected version because it's I am awesome. Thank you, Barry. Barry's a old wrestling friend of mine who's also killing it in the stand-up world right now, doing some great shows. Barry, I'm going to have to start begging you for time. Third week in a row, Flappers ain't booking me. I'm home doing comedy to my dogs right now, so I got to follow you. Laura Romo says, offensive line is the new sexy pick, in my opinion. Got to start the lines with D and O. Giggity for my Lions. Cornerback would be nice. Depth overall. AJ Schwackert. I talked to Josh Bakuga this weekend, actually. No afternoons reunion is coming, but I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. But AJ Schwackert, we used to always have fun with our names of people who watched our show or listened to our show. And AJ Schwackert just sounded like a college quarterback to me. I definitely found myself not even telling coworkers about the birthday or even taking off anymore. Things change as the age. That is true. That is true. It's because, again, it's not about the party. I didn't even have a sweet treat. I didn't even have a cake, a cupcake, nothing. Jen Miro made homemade pizzas, and we had some drinks, and that's all she wrote in terms of snacks. I didn't need anything else. But yeah, I think we have a tendency to think all of us grow up thinking parties instead of just taking the day and taking the moment there. All right, so I don't want you. I'm going to remove the answer, the question about me being awesome. That's been removed. Ranger Donald's got this one. It says, question, since Reggie Bush is getting his Heisman Trophy back, what sport wrongdoing, in your opinion, should be fixed? I saw in chat Vermont Mike said Joe Jackson. I actually really agree with that one. If you get into the story, of the Black Sox scandal of 1919, man, they did a crime, or they violated the rules of baseball, without a doubt. But gambling and gamblers and the underworld, that Star Wars scoundrel underworld, it was so present in sports, but particularly baseball. And all you need to do is go watch the Ken Burns doc on this. You don't need to dig deeper than that. You don't. And there was the actions taken by those Chicago White Sox players, I think in the context of history, had as much to do with taking a stand for the rights of labor. I'm not saying it was a union stand, because the baseball union would not exist for many, many decades after the event. But what Charles Comiskey, how he treated his players, what he did to his players, The players were still making more than those of normal folks. That's been the case since baseball started. If you look even in the 1800s, the money the players were making was X amount, 12 times whatever it was of the average citizen. So a sports athlete making more money is not anything new. But even that, the situation was not good in Chicago, and they were being mistreated, and they were property, and there was these big labor issues that needed to be addressed. And I'm not calling those players here. Again, I think they did wrong, but there's just a tragedy. And Joe Jackson, and was it Chick Weaver at third base? Was it Chick Weaver? Whoever the third baseman was. John Cusack in the film played so good, right? They didn't throw nothing. Seacott, the other players, maybe they did. Chick Gandil, that whole gang. But I think they got made. I don't think there was true justice for the situation. Buck Weaver, thank you. Love that. Thank you, Vermont Mike. Yeah. Chick Gandil, Buck Weaver. I think we should look on that situation a little differently. Again, did they cheat and commit the ultimate sin in baseball? Throw games? Yes. Lifetime suspension from Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Not the greatest individual either. Absolutely one of the reasons baseball remains segregated for longer than it should have, obviously longer than it needed. It should have been, and it was integrated early on, as if you ever hear the stories of what happened late 1800s. But the gentleman's agreement that came, he was one of the ones that I blame for it continuing into the 1940s, which is crazy to think. But not crazy to think in the context of the nation at that time. So I would love to see that. That's a great answer. That is a great answer. In terms of, a wrong being righted, I can't think on the fly here of a giant scandal. I'm not a super fan of Pete Rose and that decision being overturned. I get it where we're at, especially with betting being more present in professional sports these days. That whole Shohei Ohtani thing's kind of been like not pushed under the rug, but it's a little blip on the radar screen, which is kind of amazing. I'm not a fan of the idea of putting Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame right now, but I can get to that spot. But I still think his thing it's a little bit different than players trying to survive and players trying to make a point in 1919. Yeah, Joe was illiterate. Yep. Yeah, I might just watch that Ken Burns doc again. I watch Ken Burns baseball easily once a year to relax. But in terms of, I'll think of one these are big issues, right? These are big. The Pete Rose, the Black Sox scandals, all that kind of stuff. There's one thing that I definitely am on board changing, and that is Armando Galarraga. Give him credit. Give him credit for a perfect game. What was the year? Someone will help me in chat. Maybe Vermont Mike can remember that year. Armando Galarraga absolutely threw a perfect game for the Detroit Tigers. And he got robbed of it by a messed up call, and by an umpire who broke down in tears the next day, who absolutely knew what he had done. This happens. I'm getting the information up there just in case we want to bring it up on the screen there. But I'm even reading an article from 2 years ago. People making the claim. What was the umpire's name? I'm finding all these articles here, and not one of them has the goddamn name of the umpire. Jesus, blinking bleep. Like, give me the information that we all need here. Oh, my God. There you go. Jim Joyce. Couldn't remember the name. Jim Joyce. Thank you for those who are yelling at it in chat. Appreciate you there. Jim Joyce knew he made a mistake. Jim Joyce cried about it the next day, felt so bad, happened in 2010. We have definitive proof that he was wrong on the call. There's no doubt about it. We have gone back and taken away no-hitters from pitchers. We have changed some of the rules on complete games. Andy Hawkins, then of I think the New York Yankees, threw like an 8-inning no-hitter. and they gave him credit for it. One of those situations where the Yankees lost, they go on the road. So Hawkins technically pitched a complete game no-hitter, and they went back and took that away from him. They cleared that from the record books. It's what is it going to harm is it going to cause to go back and give Armando Galarraga a near perfect game, or a perfect game instead of this near perfect game story there? Is there bigger problems in the world? Is bigger problems in sports to turn around? Yes, I absolutely think so. But, if we can turn that around, maybe we can find hope in other areas. Thank you. Laserbolt's here. Thank you for checking in. Saul's here. Saul says, last month was my birthday. I trained till 1 a.m., slept next to the ring at the Monster Factory, so I could wake up and train all morning. So he says, I'm literally missing one of those substantial life changes. Well, that's a good thing. I think it sounds like that was a celebration of the new you. I think that's good. And who doesn't love a good, pro wrestler or a fighter or a weightlifter? Who doesn't love a good story of them working out so hard and then fall asleep in the ring or fall asleep in their truck outside the gym? I like those kind of stories. They're kind of inspiring. All right, we're going to get to some calls here. Thank you for those who helped the name. ZT Kisser 13 on Twitch. And thanks to those watching on Twitch. We got a couple questions lined in. Again, here's the deal. If you want to call into the show, become a channel member, become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/CanNapsuck. Also, let me take this moment to remind you, or actually maybe let you know, this is now available. That's right. The Young Guns movie commentary exclusively on the Patreon shop or patreon.com/CanNapsuck. If you're a supporter on Patreon at any level, you get the audio version and you get the video version, which is just me in a corner. That's me in a corner. It's just me in a corner because I obviously can't play the movie. Trust me, I tried. But this is also available in the shop, the audio version or the video version, just if you want to see my face. This is something that I'm excited to start doing for y'all. I'd love to do this monthly. Next up will be Young Guns 2. Right now, it's just me sitting there. Would I love to have guests come on? Sure. But, me pouring a drink, watching one of my favorite movies. Hopefully that's something you want to get involved in. And it was, there you go. Ranger Donald says, saw Young Guns, but never saw Young Guns, but now I'll watch it for the first time with you, Ken. There you go. So that is available right now in the Patreon shop, or if you're a Patreon member. All right. Jen Merrill says, oh my God, we have to do a movie. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. I want to go back to this before I move to a call. Vermont Mike says, as a native Cincinnatian, I'm good with Pete's current status. I actually think that's important. I really like to. I think it's my stance of saying, yeah, you know what, Pete knew what he did. He signed a deal, and keep him out of Hall of Fame. I think that's a less popular sentiment, but a lot of the Reds, a lot of the people involved in the organization, and now to have Vermont Mike say, hey, here in the city, I'm kind of good with that too. That's good to know. Interesting note there. Okay. All right. Jonathan Peck's here. And AJ says Young Guns, more like Old Guns. Well, that's going to be Young Guns 3, which I'm excited about. And I do talk about that. Okay, I got some calls lined up here. So our first, we got some folks who are regulars, but I'm going to take a call new to the show here. And I want to shout out last week, Kingsport Cal stole the show with his call. I had people talking about that call at my birthday gathering. It was people had opinions on the call. But let's bring to the show now Chris King, who's live on the air with us. Chris, you're calling into the Blathering. What you got, my friend?
How's it going, Ken?
It's going good, Chris. Thanks for calling in. First time, long time, first time, I'm going to assume.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of yours from Force Center, Schmoes Know. Started following you recently on Patreon, and just want to say, big fan of everything you're doing, man.
Dude, I appreciate the support, both fresh, new Patriot support, but also the long-term support. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for being here.
Of course, yeah. So my question is actually related to a Force Center question I asked a few months ago.
Gotcha.
I asked, I think you, Jen, and Joseph about coming-of-age stories, and
oh yes,
and you were talking about Tom Perrotta, who is one of my favorite authors. And I'm a high school teacher. I teach his book Bad Haircut to freshmen, and I know you were talking about Joe College and some
Wow.
other ones. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I wanted to I guess I just wanted to ask you, as someone who, I know you do a lot of your own writing. I'm a writer
Hmm.
myself. I got my master's in it, and I teach, teach high schoolers now and stuff. But just what about his writing, I think, speaks to you? I think a lot of times we're just like, yeah, we like this person because of X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. But I'd really like to know the specificity for you.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I'm also bringing up his while you were chatting. I was bringing up some of his his books, and of course, what a election is probably the one that I think that put him on the map. A book I read in one night. I don't, and yes, it's a shorter book, but I read election one night. But Chris, breaking news, I didn't know he wrote a follow up called Tracy Flick Can't Win in 2022, and I did not know that.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
It's good. The
Okay.
I don't wanna pre bias you to it. I thought the end kind of fell apart, but it's good.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Good to know. But I'm gonna check that out. Bad Haircut, Joe College, The Wishbones from 1997 is
Hmm.
another book of him as love. I don't what drew me to I'll look at Election because Election both is a
Hmm.
movie I love and a book I loved. And I did read the book after the movie, as that happens with a lot of people in life, and that's great for authors. I think there was just something about there was a pain in the struggle of the characters. There was something I identified. I think Tracy Flick is both a villain and a hero. I think the character played by Matthew Broderick, the teacher character, like Jim, right, was his name?
Hmm. Yeah, I think you're. I know it's like Mr. Something. I haven't
Yeah,
read it in a while, but yeah,
yeah,
you're.
same, same. But there's something where you're rooting for him, but then he continues to make these mistakes and just make it worse, and that
Hmm.
was so real to me. But at the same time, some of the other characters, there was just I don't know. There's a sense of that coming of age I really plugged into, but that coming of age is permanent. I feel
Hmm.
it's a permanent journey, and I think Joe College was an example. The Wishbones,
Hmm.
again, a few years for me reading. So, but it's like it's a kind of a wedding band cover kind of story, if I recall.
It's one of my
But
favorites.
yeah, it's so good. Yeah, and it's the journey ongoing, and there's not a lot of cynicism in the way I recall Parada's books being.
Yeah.
And I do know he wrote The Leftovers, which got turned into a big series, all that stuff. But like, versus like, I love Nick Hornby so much. I'm a big Hornby file guy. But his early stuff had a little bit of the snarky cynicism of the 90s, 80s, and Gen X. And then he's probably an older Gen X. Maybe Hornby might have even been a young boomer. I can't remember his actual birth date. But Parada had, as much as I love that,
Hmm.
Parada lacked some of this snark, and therefore it made it warm to me. And I felt good even as these people were flailing.
That, yeah, yeah. That's an awesome way to describe it. I think you really nailed it, because I think that's what
Mm.
I feel that same way. There's a I don't want to take up too much time here. I know you got other
No,
callers,
this is
but
great.
there's a line in a short story, because that's the great thing about Bad Haircut when I teach to my freshmen. And
Mm.
there's a story about where the main character Buddy, because it's a novel through short stories, and he loses his virginity, the girl he has like driver's ed with, right?
Right.
And he's been battling with his driver's ed teacher the entire time. He's like this kind of typical, like, um, I guess like overly masculine kind of gym teacher guy.
Right.
And the girl doesn't go to school anymore. She's ending up marrying the ex boyfriend, and he ended up falling in love with her. And they have this like shared moment where he's like, oh, like it's kind of quiet without her, and the gym teacher goes, she reminds me of this girl back in high school. And the 16-year-old buddy's like waiting for him to keep talking, and then he realizes, and Prada writes this, he's like, it took him a second, he realized the story was already over. And
Mm.
so that constant coming of age that you're talking about, and the warmth,
Yes.
and one of the quotes I have my students read is that we read to not judge characters but to understand. And I think Parada really nails that.
That's
And
great.
yeah, and I think what you're hitting on with Wishbones or the Joe College of it all is really there. So the way you put that, I thought was really Yeah, well done. It's nice to hear because I don't know too many people besides some of my teachers who have read them. So when you were like, "Yeah, I'm a fan," I was like, "Oh my god, all right."
I love that, man. I love, you've kind of accidentally made me feel smart, Chris, and I don't often feel that. I appreciate that, number one, but two, I love that. Say that line again to me because I think it applies to a lot of modern media.
I'm misquoting it, and
Okay.
I will drop it into the. I don't want to misquote it. I'll give you what I
Yeah.
remember it being, and I'll go to my my
Fair enough.
syllabus in a second and drop it in the chat. But it's the idea that oh yeah, because it's on there. It's one of those quotes for opening day of classes where I'm like, all right, let's talk about these. It's we read to understand, not judge, and
Love that.
yeah, because I always say that, like, whether I'm teaching Shakespeare, whether I'm teaching anything, like I'm trying to teach Taming of the Shrew to kids, and they're like, "Well, Petruchio is abusing this woman," and I'm like, "Yeah, I get it, I understand. There's
Yeah.
like gender norms and everything, but I was like, but let's try to understand them. Let's try to unpack them."
Yeah.
And I think that's the really important thing about storytelling is trying to say, okay, yeah, this character did that, but why? And it's a lot of what you all do on Force Center, which I really resonate with, and that's what I really appreciate about you as a person in the space. So
I appreciate that, Chris, and I would be fortunate if I had you as a teacher to learn all the stuff. And I love it because I love that quote. Yeah, because there's so much in the modern punditry about media. It's just not even punditry. The discussions. You're right, and I don't. It's not a generational thing. It's not me wagging a finger at a younger generation. There is a lot of understanding of things and personalities and traits and triggers and traumas and all these things. We have a better understanding of that, which I'm very thankful for. But I do want to try to understand people. And going back to Parada, to take it home, and I'll let you go, Chris. You probably got a lesson to plan to change the future of so many kids. That's why I said Tracy Flick at certain points is a villain, but at other points she's a hero, and at other points you really understand. And I thought that translated from page to screen so well with Reese Witherspoon. I really enjoyed that, some of those darker moments, those broken moments of her, where you just understand who she is, and that's important.
100%. And before I do go, I do have to say only because I know you're a baseball fan. I've heard you slightly disparage them from time to time. I'm from Philly, so go Phils.
Hey, look, you know what? The Philly fans have have a good reputation as being passionate, but also have a weird history there. But I know you're not. You represent the good sides of Philly. Look, I'll tell you what. Who's your favorite player of all time in the Phillies?
It's gonna get me hate probably in the comments. Chase Utley. I'm about 32 years old, so I was 16 when they won their World Series.
Oh yeah. No, I love Utley. I think Utley. I know he's an aggressive player at times, but I liked Utley. I would have had him on the Yankees any day. My favorite Philly growing up was Von Hayes. So it's all good.
Great choice. Thanks so much, Ken. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for calling in. Our first call tonight is in. We got a couple lined up, and Chris, I imagine he's just the way he approached that call. He's got to be a great teacher, and I'm sure he's got so many popular. He's just a popular teacher, and so many kids are happy to have him. I'd be lucky to be taught by Chris. I'd probably learn some things. Another person I'd be lucky if he was my teacher is our next caller to the show here right now. I almost want to bring him on video. We'll bring him up audio first, but he's got this thing going with his hair that I almost want to talk about. So let's bring him up audio first. Scotty J. Rowe, the teacher of the future.
Hey,
how are you?
Brother, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm especially happy that you're here.
Well, I'm happy to be here, man. It's my first appearance in the Blathering, and that's that's intense. Mark it down in your Canon notebooks, kiddos.
and look, here's the deal. Alden can no longer brag that it's just him, because now you and Jerry have both been a part of this.
Assimilation, man. We found our way in. No time.
What's on your mind, man? Okay, let me just get this. Do I have permission to bring you on camera? Okay, that's okay. There we go. Actually, I'm going to do this. All right, you have probably a great question. I want to know the hair going on. This is amazing. Talk me through this.
I'm gonna take the headphones out real quick. So I haven't grown my hair out since 2017.
Okay,
and I don't remember it being so like ringlet curly. It's like absurd. I feel like I'm like a 70s guitarist. You know what I mean? Like
oh my God.
When it gets sweaty, it like curls even more. I don't know. And it's all natural. Truly natural, Kim.
You absolutely look like you're playing lead for Styx or Asia.
Yes. Dude, how many of you want to hear a 10-minute solo and just rip right into it, man? No, it's weird though.
Yeah.
Like this kind of curly hair, like I when it's short, you know, you can style it a little bit easier, but now with its length, it's pretty unruly. And every shower in the morning is pretty awful. I'll be honest, because it's like so curly.
Yeah, you know, you learn a lot. You learn a lot. When I had hair down to my belt when I was my rock radio DJ days, I wish I knew. I wish I knew some of the hair grooming tips that I know.
Wait a minute.
Now.
We have any pictures of that era? I want to see pictures of that era.
I'll have to dig one up. There is one photo of because I sound like an old man, but cameras weren't on our phones and we didn't even have digital cameras. So there is one photo I have. There's some with me in a ponytail, that kind of thing. There's some of the radio station where it's kind of longer. But there's one where I think I had my mom or dad take it because I knew I was getting close to cutting it. And I'm in my room. There's a really crappy little a set of shelves with space Legos on it, like a bunch of classic early 80s space Lego sets.
Oh, dude, that's sick. Yeah.
And I think that Cobra Hiss Tank. And it's me, and it's the hair down to my belt. I will find the photo and I'll scan it in and I'll get it up here.
So the entire time, I was thinking, what could I ask Ken Knapsack live on air? And this is one of those ones that I think most people can obviously ask themselves too. What was on your bedroom wall when you were growing up? What albums? What posters? Ken had to have some pretty good stuff.
Well, okay. Scotty, but see, you're getting into things, so you're a fan of the band Kiss, as am I.
Yeah, hold on. I don't know if you can see it. There's a signed image up there by all of them. Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to enjoy the poetic insights of the 4-piece or multi-piece, counting all the names that have come and gone, band of the Kiss, because they were knights in Satan's service. So. My childhood rooms did not have a lot of things adorning the walls because that would be some sort of form of idolatry,
Okay.
So,
like nothing cool though? Did you just have like a Joan Baez poster and that was it? Like, what did you have?
I love Joan Baez. No, I was, I was a Star Wars fan, but I didn't have a lot of posters in that. I had a cool room. I had a couch in my room that folded out into a bed. I had a big workspace. I had that, but I'm trying to give you the answer. It wasn't until the junior high age where the posters on my wall were a big poster. We're talking, I got the Star Wars poster, but the big poster size of Dan Marino, then Don Mattingly, my favorite, but the cherished poster that made me cool. And I see Jeff May, and my friend Jeff May's in chat. Jeff May he probably had this same poster up. But I had the Jose Canseco 40-40 September 23rd or whatever it was, 1988 poster. So that's a big baseball guy, but I was a big nerd. But remember also, I was trained not by my folks, but just by society at large that by this point I needed to bury the nerddom.
I was going to say
I had to put sports on the wall.
The sports was not satanic yet. It's only now that it's satanic, to do anything in sports. I get that.
Yeah.
No, it's funny.
Like
in terms of what what we like, then it really does form what we like now. And Star Wars, it went on hiatus for me, obviously for a lot of kids in 2005, and then as time progressed, it just fell right back with the acquisition and everything. So I get that, dude. Yeah, well, okay, then what records did you have? If you didn't, because I'm sure you were old enough to have tapes or records. Am I dating you now?
Tapes. No, I had tapes. I had CDs. I remember when CDs showed up about 1987. It came a little bit later. I had a lot of cassettes. I had a lot of Beatles cassettes. My dad did like secular music. He was a big Paul Simon fan. Cool. But and it sounds like I'm slagging on my parents. I'm not. I had a great privileged childhood, and they, with the limited means they had, they did what they could to make my sister and I feel like we had a good life, and we did. Yeah. But there, there was a lot of things going on in those satanic panic 80s. So it's not a joke. Like I just wasn't allowed to explore a lot of that stuff. Like I tried. Like I came home, I think it was like 4th grade for me. And I told her I wanted to get a cassette tape of this band called Beastie Boys.
Oh, shit.
I too wanted to get my license to ill, and
Yeah.
like she was like, okay, and I don't, you're a teacher of kids, it's okay to say, hey, let's see what's going into your brain. I don't mind that. I just think you shouldn't be as afraid of those things in banned books. But as a parent, I can respect where she's coming from. And I came home from school one day and she like sat me down. And as if I had kept a secret from her, she was like, I read an article, I think it was like Newsweek or something. At these music concerts for these so-called Beastie Boys, they sniff glue. And you will not be cheering on the Beastie Boys.
God, isn't that funny? Like how wholesome that sounds, like legitimately. Like that, let's really reflect on that for a second. Because I've got kids that, not at my school, but I know kids that like go and vape in the bathroom and they bring their like weed pins and like it's just like, yeah, dude, don't go huff glue. That'll hurt. Like it's remarkable.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So but I will say I had a large collection of Beatles cassettes. Then I started getting some of the CDs, and then it wasn't until when I myself was in radio, I fell in love with music. Then I got into radio because I used to listen to radio stations, CD 107 and Pure Gold 104, all these stuff that I would get in my hometown. But I went in more for the broadcasting and the comedy and the entertaining side. Then I fell in love with music. Then my collection exploded and CDs and things. Then I started having more posters on the wall. Then I started having movie posters on the wall because I would also steal them from my friends who worked at the movie theater. We'd just go in and raid the poster closets. So I had like Sabrina, the 1995 Harrison Ford version. I had that. I had Great Expectations, the Gwyneth Paltrow version. That was my room in 1998 when I moved to LA. So yeah, the music thing's interesting. Yeah, we had a lot of Amy Grant in our house. We had a lot of until she left to the secular world, and then we had to cast her out into the fires of hell.
Yes, not allowed.
My first concert was Debbie Boone, the daughter of Pat Boone. So she sang "You Light Up My Life." There's a lot of that. Now, one thing I will say, I often maybe poke that bear of my church upbringing. One of my early comic influences was a Christian-based sketch group called Isaac Airfreight. And my dad had the cassette, and we listened to it on trips, and it was just a bunch of sketches. There was one about the rapture, and the phone kept ringing, and people weren't home. The content, I don't know. I have to look it up again. But it was like, dare I say, for me at that time, like 9, 10 years old, like a Christian Monty Python, which seems comical and everything. But what that established in me is sketches and audio as a form of comedy, and it was highly influential in my early life.
I'd imagine, dude. I remember listening to Cheech and Chong when I was probably 13 or 14, and that was the one for me that was like, oh my God, who's at the door, that whole bit. And it's funny, man, really reflecting on it. I have a very similar story of like having to like ask permission, then hide a CD. I wanted a Manson CD really bad when I was like in 6th grade. Well, mom was not having Manson, man. I went to Catholic school.
Turns out your mom might have been right.
Yeah, you're probably right. But guess what? A friend got it for me, and I hid it in the drawer in my living room. But sorry, not living room, in my bedroom. But it's so funny how like tame some things are now. And I always try to reflect on, well, if this is controversial now, what's 20 years from now going to look like? What could even be? Like it's so weird. We all think we push the limits technologically speaking and socially speaking. It's weird. It's weird what shock value is now because
I love it.
It wasn't then.
And our friend Jeff May in chat says parents were terrified in the 80s, and that's so true. And I'm not always here to hold them to the flames on it. I do get it, and just the things that spread. I'm doing in this other job I'm working for right now, writing for this YouTube channel. I'm doing a lot of research on urban legends or conspiracies and that kind of thing, and just debunking them and breaking them apart. And it's fascinating to see where a lot of this comes from, where a lot of it's just misinformation, a lot of it's stories, and it just becomes in a small suburban town in 1983. You didn't know if the Dungeons and Dragons would lead you to demonic possession. You were just told, and so you believed it.
Of course, you had no other reason to. Not doubt that could be the case. Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fascinating track. Scotty, this has been wonderful. And your hair, man. Yeah, you're right. You're like a guitarist for the 70s. It's almost like Jeff Skunk Baxter for the Doobie Brothers is going to ask you if you got a joint on you.
There we go. I give it to him. Give him and Michael McDonald the duty. I would do it in a heartbeat, dude.
How did
Imagine
you?
that.
Yeah, you are a generation younger than me, and I love that you can fall in love with any music from any style, from any era. You becoming a Kiss fan. How did that happen?
I couldn't tell you, if I'm going to be honest with you. All I know is that was the first CD I wanted as a kid. I went and worked with my dad on he used to do car wash fabricating, and that's what he did. He would fabricate big car wash systems and install them and build them. And we were working on one, and he's like, "I need you to cut down this tree." And I said, "Oh, okay." He goes, "I'll buy you a CD," and that was the payment. So I sat there and cut the very, very George Washington. I sat there and cut down a CD, and I cut a tree for a CD. And so I cut it down, and we go to Best Buy. It was right on the corner, and I bought Kiss Gold. That was the first CD I bought.
Wow.
That was the one I said, "This is my choice," and I wanted. I was like maybe sixth grade, and yeah, dude, it was very much worthwhile. And one thing I kept thinking of too, obviously a big reason why I wanted it, and I think this is something that most people from my generation will never admit, but Rock Band and Guitar Hero really did play a pivotal like a role in our understanding of music, because
that's interesting.
It's really weird because most people, at least all musician friends I know, would never admit that, but it really is very important that those games actually existed for people from, I would say, from 2006 to 2011. I mean, that kids my age really love that.
We should commission some sort of study or documentary on this. That's what I would love to know.
I agree, dude.
Love
Thanks
it.
for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
I'll let you go. Joey Bean says my first CD was the soundtrack to Mortal Kombat, which Jeff May agrees. And also Joey says Tylenol was scary in the 80s. He ain't wrong about that. Scotty, thanks for calling in. I appreciate you so much. I will. I'll reach out privately, but. It looks like in the fall I'm going to be having a little beignet at Cafe Du Monde, if you know what I mean.
I will be there, brother.
All right. All right.
100%.
There you go. Scotty, check it. Scotty Joey. Check out the Bomb Pad podcast with Jerry and Scotty and their cohorts there. Wonderful stuff there. Great comments coming in. We get to some more calls here in a second. You are listening and watching and hanging out with me, Ken Knapsack, on the Blathering Live, an AM radio talk show for a modern age. That's right. What is old can be new again, and we're here. If you got a question for me, you want to put it in chat form, I appreciate that. If you make it a super chat, I will definitely see it and definitely not ignore it, even if I can't answer the question legally. I'm not bound by any question answering rules. I will acknowledge it if it's a super chat as well. Also, you can support directly in other ways by doing tips over at streamelements.com/KenNapsuck/tip. And if you're watching on your computer screen and you got your phone, you can also scan this QR code, and that will be a spot to directly donate to Morning Drive Media as we try to keep this channel growing. I'm having so much fun doing this. I have a lot of other work going on. But I'm trying to find a way to make sure I can do this 2 to 3 nights a week. I have fun hanging out with all of you there. Also want to highlight for those who might have missed it earlier, on my Patreon page, you got the Young Guns movie commentary now available. If you're a supporter at any level, you get the audio or video versions. Or you can go to the Patreon shop. I'll drop a link, and you can go ahead and check out the movie commentary of one of my favorite movies of all time, Young Guns, which will lead me to covering an absolute piece of film, Young Guns 2. Do want to follow up? Chris King came back with the actual quote, if you heard that call earlier. As a writer, you should not judge. You should understand. Ernest Hemingway. That's a quote I was referencing. Thanks so much for chatting, Ken. No, thank you for chatting, Chris. All right. Anything going on here? Lauren Roma asked this question. What new Star Wars Fortnite skin do you want to see this May during Star Wars Fortnite celebration? That's right, kids. Next week is Star Wars Day, and Fortnite, one of my favorite games and social experiments, is doing its yearly Star Wars thing. I think there's a Chewbacca coming, and I'm interested in that. You know me, Roma. I don't get a lot of skins. I've been playing with the Lady Gaga skin for a while. Then I hear there's a Billie Eilish skin coming in the game. I think I'm going to support that as well. But in terms of Star Wars, I would love Chewbacca, but I think it would be fun to play as C-3PO. Let's play as C-3PO in Fortnite. See what's going on there. Thank you for that. Scott Mills says, I've got one of the biggest shows of my life in town here. Problem is 11 next Tuesday. Too late. Probably have 2,000 people dancing, trying to decide if to take the next day off, just going late. Scott, this is an important question. Scott is a drummer. He's a musician. For those who don't know, he's watching here on Facebook. And that's sometimes I want to do more stand up. I want to go up on stage 3-4 nights a week as well. The reality is that means every night, if you were to do that, you're going to work at like 7 p.m., but you've also got other things you got to do during the day. It's not like, unless you're successful enough to where you can sleep in all day and then go into work at 7, that's not a problem. But there's a grind to stand up and performing. And as the older you get, the idea of, I'm going on stage at 11 o'clock doesn't sound or feel as good. So, Scott, I'm with you. I am with you there. And shout out to Scotty, who just became a new member here as well. Final question in the hopper here, and then we'll get some calls coming in. AJ says, who do you listen to these days in stand-up? This is always a tough question for me to answer because it sounds snarky and cynical and like I'm above it all. I don't watch a lot of stand-up unless I'm in the clubs. And I don't want myself to accidentally be influenced by anyone. So I've got some of the all-timers, Steve Martin, in terms of like Saturday Night Live, I was a big Dennis Miller and Weekend Update fan. That influenced me greatly. Kurt Loder influenced me in terms of news comedy as well, I will say. I used to always love watching a lot of my friends in the early 2000s, and a lot of them went on to do great and wonderful things. Some of the ones I watch now, I'm still a giant Mark Maron fan. I really am. I really love watching what he does on stage. I think especially I go hang out at the Comedy Store a lot. And the Comedy Store has, it has a great reputation and a bad reputation, and both are earned in my mind. But the Comedy Store now is a really wonderful place to hang out for me in terms of comic. But there's a lot of people on stage who are doing things and putting things out there that I don't necessarily think is the right approach to the world. Not in terms of comedy, but they're just doing some things I don't agree with. Mark Maron's not doing that. And on the night that Joe Rogan returned to the Comedy Store and lines were literally going down the street, Maron unveiled his bit that is in his special about the new kind of stupid and how all these new kind of stupid people think they're so right. And a lot of it comes from podcasts they listen to. And he basically just did a parody of Joe Rogan to a Joe Rogan audience, and it worked, and they loved it. And I thought that was really brave. And I love those on specials. So I love watching Mark Maron work. In terms of some of the big ones out there, I actually am a fan of Taylor Tomlinson too. She's a workhorse. She comes in, does her stuff, leaves, gets out of there, and I love watching her specials too. So those are two giant names, but there's so many out there. Jeff May, who runs a great live comedy show, Jeff's also a great stand-up, and Jeff's a guy who stands up on stage and says what he believes and stands up for the right things. Since there's so many amazing live stand-ups out there. Excuse me, my whiskey's hitting my lips. There are so many amazing live stand-ups out there that haven't hit it big, and that is so true. That is so true. All right. Scotty says I'm official member now. Thanks for letting me chat. No, Scotty, thank you. All right. We're going pretty good here. I'm not ready to quit anytime soon. I'll freshen up this whiskey. First, I'll take a sip of water, and then we'll get a call in here. He is one of our friends here, one of our longtime friends. He had I'll just say it. He had a controversial request on this past week's Pop Rockin' Radio, but we played it, and we had a great song set, as we always do when requests come in from around the world. Maybe we'll ask him about that request, but welcome back to the show, our friend Brennan Moore. Brennan, how are you doing? I accidentally brought you up on camera. Do you mind being on camera? I'll bring you up.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Brennan is here. We got Star Wars show posters in the back. How are you doing, Brennan? And I'm going to ask you what made you pick that Taylor Swift song?
Well, I realized I didn't know a lot of her music, so I went back to the beginning.
Got it.
And started listening and go, I actually like this song. So,
I want you to know, as you know, I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I'm not a Swiftie. I don't know all the stuff.
I'm not a Swiftie. I just was like, that sounds fun to play.
I'm here to support her doing her thing, but it was great. Anyways, Brennan, thanks for the call. Thanks for the video appearance tonight.
Yeah.
What's your question? What do you got?
Well, thanks for playing the song, by the way.
My pleasure.
On your show. Also, Scotty's video on midi-chlorians.
Yeah.
Is amazing. Reminds me, I have my tickets for next week's Phantom Menace showing.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be seeing Phantom Menace next week too. I'm excited about that. And Brendan, before we go on, you just reminded me. I do. For you Star Wars fans out there who are listening or watching live now, our buddy Scotty Jarrah, who just was on the show here, has a great video.
Yes, he does.
It's a video essay, but really it's a lesson plan. He's a teacher, and he built it like a lesson. A great slideshow presentation of the importance of midichlorians in Star Wars and what they meant and what George meant and what their true place is. And I absolutely love it, and I recommend it all there.
So,
Yeah,
you were
hit me.
talking about the 80s satanic panic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not to boast, but my church never got into that.
And to that I say, Brennan, God bless you and your church.
I don't know why, but my church is just like didn't get involved in that silliness.
It's
when
look,
lots of other churches were.
What do you think is the reason why? What do you?
Well, I think that I don't know. I think our teachings is more like there's more important things to worry about.
Yes.
Than D&D.
Yes. See, I can align with that.
D&D leading your kids to the devil. It's like no.
Yeah,
it's nonsense to even think that.
I align with that thinking, Brennan, in the sense of I think often, and I get it. Again, that's why I bring up the D&D example. I was 7 or 8. I was told not to play it because 2 towns over, a kid played it and became possessed and killed somebody. That wasn't true.
No.
That wasn't true, but I don't know that, and it's filtered. And then I also think my parents didn't question it; they just accepted it, and it's a lot of it's out of fear.
Too many Tom Hanks movies.
Yeah, there you go. But I do understand the desire to protect.
Well, yeah,
protect your kids.
I get that.
Yeah, but I often find, and I don't, you as someone who engages with media, but particularly engages with Star Wars on a deeper level. I really do believe you will find. This sounds big and grandiose, but you will find the spirit. You will find God reflected in these stories, these myths.
I absolutely 100% agree with that.
Good. I don't know what else to say, Brennan. Good.
That's the reason why I like Star Wars, I think, so much. Is I do connect with it on a religious level. And in fact, you will find that many members of my church feel the same way, that we'll be talking about a doctrine in a Sunday school class. And we'll go, hey, this is like such and such in Star Wars. In fact, the phrase, this is the way, is in some of our scriptures, which I thought was kind of
funny. Interesting. I didn't know that. There you go.
And so is I have spoken. That's in the Bible. So.
Well, I think I have spoken should just be in everyone's religions. I think that's fair enough. Fascinating stuff there, Brennan. Was that your question? I kind of forced you into that. We were just having that conversation.
No,
but what's on your mind?
You got me thinking.
Yeah.
About the whole 80s D&D thing, because the Marr family is D&D nerds through and through, and I've gotten my nephew into it. So
love that. What do you play as, Brennan? When you play D&D, what do you play as?
Usually a fighter. Usually.
Good. God bless you.
I wouldn't do that in real life. I'd be the guy hiding in the back.
But see, you can find new things about yourself when you play these games.
No, my question was, so I was at Outback the other night.
God bless you and Outback.
And the lemon onion might be my favorite meal, quote unquote meal, of all time. Do you have a favorite restaurant meal?
Yes, I do.
And I know the answer is not In-N-Out Burger. I know that for you.
I don't like In-N-Out. That's true. Shame on you. Yeah, you know what? It's so funny because it will switch. It will definitely switch up. I'll have different eras where I'm at Chili's every Monday for like 2 straight
Chili's.
years.
What do you get at Chili's?
I used to get like they had like a case. I'm a big fan of quesadillas. So Chili's used to have a good quesadilla option. Red Robin used to have a good quesadilla option.
True.
I believe.
That's true.
Yeah. But Jeff May, who's going to sign off here. Oh, Jeff, I just sent you a link. But if you got to go, you got to go. In-N-Out is overrated. Yeah, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but I'm not a big fan of In-N-Out. But I got to tell you, you talking about restaurant. When I think of a restaurant and a meal, if you've listened, as you do, Brennan, to Force Center, Joseph Scrimshaw and I mention all the time the Smokehouse. And here's the thing: Smokehouse in L.A., Toluca Lake area, so much history. Is it the best quality food? No. And I just got into a debate with a friend of mine who was like, you know what, I went there and I didn't like it. I didn't like the food. I get it. But it's the history, it's the atmosphere, it's the fun of it all. And there is, I go there and I get the cheese toast, I get a wedge salad, and then there's a couple items I work in and out, like a chicken piccata or a tri-tip sandwich or whatever it is. But that order, the cheese toast, the wedge salad, the main meal, it's just heaven for me. And I'm even getting hungry. I even had dinner before this show.
I wish I could eat it, but I'm allergic to dairy, so.
Well,
everything else.
The one thing I'll say on that cheese toast, Brennan, is I don't know how much dairy is actually on that cheese.
That's true.
I don't know what packet they get it from, but it's really good. But yeah, that's my go-to right now.
For me, it's the bloomin' onion. I mean, I could eat that thing all day, every day.
Love it.
Particularly the sauce that goes with it. I like the sauce.
We might have to make that one of the calls the rest of the night. If you're out there or you're watching there in chat, put your favorite go-to restaurant meals.
Well, I don't know. I'll have to meet up with you at an Outback someday.
Someday we'll get to it. Tell you what, we'll get there one day. You, me, we'll invite Mark Riley. We'll just all hang out and have a bloomin' onion there.
Well, I invited Mark, but he's got a baby, so
he does have a baby. That does put a
so cute.
Crip at a lot of things.
So cute.
Brendan, as always, thank you for calling in. Keep the song requests coming, and appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate you.
I'll come up with something quite interesting for the next Pop Rockin' Radio.
Do it. Let's do it. I look forward to it. Brett Amar, everybody. Check out his podcast, The Page Turners. They Were Not. We'll see you next time, my friend. All right. We are having a lot of fun here. You are listening to The Blathering, or you might be watching it. I do release this on the podcast feed. I will say that I did have a conversation. Don't you worry. Our biggest win with Ken and Robbie, the May edition, will be coming your way soon. We're working on a new episode for you all there. We are hanging out. Claudia Dolph saying, just popping in to say hi and taking off now, but literally had the cheese toast and wedge salad last night at Smokehouse. See, you can't go wrong. That I'm a sucker for a wedge of lettuce smothered in dressing and toppings. And I for my birthday, I got a gift card. I'm just going to shout him out. Joe Starr got me a gift card to the Smokehouse. If you want to make me happy, all you got to do is send me a gift card to the Smokehouse. And does it sound like I'm begging for it? Maybe. But Joe Starr got me a gift card for my birthday last week, and I cannot wait to carve out the time to get that wedge salad again. So, Claudia, we'll have you on the show soon enough. All right, I'm going to take a call now from the great state of Long Island. It's not a state, but if you listen to everyone talk about it, it's like its own state or country. Johnny M. from Long Island is here. Speaking of gift cards, I'm going to publicly thank this man. He sent me a DoorDash gift card for my birthday, and I had another one of my favorite meals, the soy chicken tacos from Something Vegan. Johnny, welcome to the show.
So, Ken, what do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? What is it about Long Island that breeds so much pride? That's the nice way of saying it. And I got nothing against Long Island because, you know me, other than landing there, I haven't spent time there.
Look, I would say it's the food, but I think it goes beyond that. I think it's the culture of Long Island.
What's the culture of Long Island? And I'm not asking that confrontationally.
Well, we're people that love sport. Look, we're people that love sports. We're people that love music. And we're people that love food. And when you put those together, you get great gatherings.
Okay.
We're known for our backyard gatherings here.
I like that. I could dig that. I'm on board. But this just, how did this come up? Like, did you all get together at a barbecue and just be like, all right, this is our culture, sports, beer, and food?
So Ken, not to give too much away, but I want you to think about your hometown and most hometowns, right? The beauty of Long Island is that you could drop the L and throw STR in front of it, and you get it, Strong Island.
Strong Island.
And that's where the pride comes from.
So, by that logic, my hometown of Arroyo Grande, California comes Arroyo Grande, California?
Right, and there's not a lot of pride in that, Ken.
All right. Fair enough. I can't wait to get out there proper. I can't wait to go to Massapequa and all these towns that all have. By the way, last week you were the last time you were on the show, you mentioned All American Burger, right?
Right.
and then you left, and then Jen Miro jumped back in the show, and she, without knowing you said that, called that also the best burger place. That's two.
I think you and Jen need to get to New York, and
Okay.
Jen and I will treat you to All American Burger and give you a proper Long Island welcome.
All right. I'm on board. I'm surrounded by people from Long Island. You're a Yankee fan. But when the Mets won in '86, how much was that felt on the island? How much did that mean to you as a youngster?
So here's what's interesting is, not born on the island. I moved when I was 10, so I moved in '86. So I was so I left my area that was surrounded by Yankee fans and moved to a town surrounded by Met fans as they were winning the World Series. Now, as a kid, this may have affected me greater, but the Mets, as you know, knocked the Red Sox out of the World Series, and all was right with the world and proper with the world, and we all became New York fans that year.
Okay, that makes sense.
There was a huge groundswell for the Mets, and
great, you felt it. The whole city.
I felt it, and if it's not the Yankees, I have no problem with it being the Mets. I have no bone to pick with the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Giants and the Jets. That doesn't affect me.
Got it. Because you want the Miami Dolphins to win. Ken Plume says, "Beware of that proper Long Island welcome." Yeah, I'm gonna start worrying about that. That's what I'll say. All right. So nothing specific from you. Just wanted to be here for me, is what you said here in this call.
Oh, I just wanted to be here. I've been listening since the go. Right.
Okay.
I can go all the way back to your Mackey comment earlier, and I can take that back to you're trying to figure out how to properly pronounce FWAP, and
yes,
I, as you know, in a former life, was a aspiring cartoonist, comic book artist.
Yeah.
I took one of these classes where they have the sound effects that you draw out, and you have to pronounce them. That's part of what you learn as you go.
As a comic, or as a cartoonist.
You're a comic. I'm a cartoonist.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, that's fair.
So it's FWAP.
FWAP. Okay.
FWAP.
He says FWAP. FOP. Excuse me, not FWAP.
Yeah,
I'm adding an H. FOP, because FAP is stand in for another action. But I used to say FOP. Excuse me, I'm messing it up at parties, and people would look at me weird, and Matt would rush in and be like, "It's FOP, friend and running partner, not FAP."
Oh, it's friend and running partner. Oh, so
writing partner. Yeah.
Writing partner. So it'd be FOP because I'm from New York.
FOP. Yeah, there you go. That's safer. FOP. He's my FOP. Oh,
FOP.
Man. Yeah. So that's that. Appreciate it, Johnny. Thanks for the love and support. Thank you for the birthday gift. I really appreciate that, by the way.
Well, thank you for the Young Guns gift, because being a patron of yours, Ken, I never know what surprise I'm going to wake up to in the morning, and that brought such a smile to my face this morning to see that this is something that I can just enjoy. I want to sync it up with the movie and watch along with the movie on silent and your commentary. I'm very much looking forward to it.
We'll turn the movie volume up a little bit so you can also watch the movie. But
I mean, in fairness, I probably don't need the volume to watch the movie.
Yeah. Especially Young Guns too. I got that. Thank you. If you're just joining me, what John is talking about is on my Patreon page, exclusive to all Patreon supporters, is my Young Guns movie commentary track. But it's also available for those who, for whatever reason, can't or don't want to support full time on Patreon. Life is tough. You might not want to give me a couple bucks every month. You might need that for yourself. But if you want to get this a la carte, it's available on the Patreon shop as well. So there you go. Johnny, thank you so much for calling in tonight and being there for me. Go have a Long Island breakfast for me.
I absolutely will, Ken. I love you. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Love you, man. Love you. There you go. Johnny M out. But Johnny M was in. This is the Blathering Live. I'm here for a few more minutes. If you have a question, if you want to call, if you want to leave a comment in the chats or give me a super chat or any of those kind of things, this is the time to do it. We got a question from our pal Dylan Berry on the Dylan Berry Network, who says, favorite LA concert venue. I'll tell you what, there's a cool little place I like going to every now and then called the Moroccan Lounge outside downtown LA. Small venue, but it's great. I've seen some great shows there. The last one I saw was a couple years ago now, the Livermore Dream Faces Child Seat Kath Meyers show. It was great there. In terms of bigger venues, the Hollywood Bowl is historic. It's great. I've seen some fun shows there, most like John Williams, Ramin Djawadi, doing the Game of Thrones music, seen Cheap Trick host a tribute to Sergeant Pepper, all that kind of stuff. It's solid. But it's a bit of it's a thing. It's a thing. I think everyone should experience it. But it's giant. It's the largest outdoor venue I think around. You got to hike up to get it. Transportation there, it can be tough. And then when you're there, unless you've got the money and you're sitting down in the boxes, you're kind of squished in there, and it can get kind of uncomfortable. So that's just might speak to the age of the venue. It's been remodeled a few times, I think, but the seats are still kind of old-fashioned there. So that's always kind of been an issue. But I gotta say, I love the Greek Theater. I love the Wiltern. Just saw Liz Phair there. I hadn't been at the Wiltern in 20 years. I last saw Nelly Furtado at the Wiltern in 2002, coming back in 2023 to see Liz Phair. The venue had not changed, and I mean that in a good way. It had changed some of the seating and everything like that, but it was still the same. I loved it there. But the Greek Theater, if you're looking for that outdoor vibe, saw Noel Gallagher, Garbage, and Metric there last year. Man, that's a great venue. And I'd never been because it can be also a little complicated. Shout out to my buddy and caller, Chris Kiefer, who knows how to get there. You can see shows, there's a lot. There's the buses to take that makes it so easy. We had a great time, so I love that there. Shout out to Adam Knight of Nightfall Productions. Says, hey, I made it live. That's right. You Canadians can get here. Thank you for that question, Dylan. I forgot what this comment was referring to, but Mike Fink saying, smoke them if you got them. And that's where we got. All right, we got a couple calls lined up here. I might just end up bringing both of them on the same time, but he's been waiting patiently, and I want to see what he's got to say. On the show right now is someone who knows a lot about Long Island. It's Ken Plume. Mr. Plume, how you doing?
Massapequa.
What?
Massapequa.
When you say that, it sounds like you're cursing me.
Ronkonkoma.
I get the a lot of the names have indigenous roots, and that's I get it. It's just
but I love your mangling over the past few weeks.
Massapequa.
Massapequa, and I believe at one point did you go Ronkonkoma? What was the?
Yeah, I'm thinking of just John Stamos on the drums there. Ronkonkoma.
Oh yes, the best version of the Beach Boys. We all know.
Yes, the Mike Love led John Stamos drummed Beach Boys version. Mike Fink says it was Smokehouse. Oh, that's perfect. Mr. Plume, what's on your mind tonight? What's going on?
I was just stopping by to say hello to my favorite smothered wedge of lettuce on this year internet. I like the head cock when you were wondering where that was going.
Yeah. See,
I feel bad. Everyone else is on camera tonight. I had my camera set up for doing a feature. So you're just getting a desk shot that you're staring at.
Yeah. I'll bring up the desk shot. Here you go. There you go. I'm staring at toys. I'm staring at Omega, Alf, the banana from Fortnite. What else am I staring at?
That's your mortal enemy in Fortnite.
Yeah. Yeah. You got Jake Lloyd Anakin. You got Rex. I mean, it's quite a collection.
Yeah. If it helps for me communicating with you. You can pretend that this is me. There we go.
I just want anyone who's swinging through, checking out my show to be like, oh, what's that guy from Collider up to? Oh, he's interviewing Palpatine.
Yeah.
He's interviewing action figures.
I mean, that tracks. Really, that tracks. If anyone was going to do a Where Are They Now?
Yeah.
This is pretty much it.
Ventress on Twitch says, reminds me of the Star Wars nativity scene I made years ago. There you go. You've kind of got a Star Wars nativity scene going there a lot.
There's a story going on here.
Yeah. There's a story indeed.
I have to hold this stupid button down.
Okay. We're seeing your display here. For those listening on audio, I do want to be respectful of you. Here's what you got. You got my face on screen wearing my Team Zoc beanie, available in the Stream Elements store, link down below on the YouTube page. But I'm looking at action figures on a desk. I'm looking at a Gwen Stacy, all the ones I described. There's a ton there. And I know this is a tiny portion of what you have.
Yeah, this is just what's on the desk in front of me right now.
Yeah. What, other than you're of my generation and we were raised collecting these toys, you take great photos on Instagram of them. You had a great one today promoting Kelly Knox's book, the Star Wars Dad Jokes. What drives you to collect? What do you get out of this? And I mean that in a good way, not a challenging way, a good way.
Oh, I'm just thinking it's trying to fill a massive emotional chasm that exists within me. Isn't that why we collect anything?
It's just a hole that you're just stuffing plastic into.
We're just dumping in that emotional hole, hoping it'll fill. And you know what? It never does. It never fills.
How many conversations are you having with Alf when no one's around?
I mean, I'm kind of imagining you as Alf right now. I'm just staring at the desk.
It just looks like I'd be honored to be from Melmac.
I mean, as you see, they're all posed. There's a story going on here. Everyone's got a little bit of character to them.
What is the story? Other than I know you just inserted the Palpatine, but the banana, Mr. McPeely or whatever his name is from Fortnite.
Yes, Mr. McPeely.
Mr. McPeely.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
I loathe him so much because people playing as bananas always seem to eliminate me on Fortnite. He's got kind of his hand. He's doing a shocked face.
Yeah, he's a bit shocked. Well,
you got Omega and young Anakin being friends, which is we don't want that.
Omega's giving some attitude. She's assertive. She's got the situation handled.
She's Omega. Yeah.
Alf is clearly trying to interject in everything that's going on right there. You got a custom Hu Yang that I painted. You got a custom Anakin. That's a repaint on that Anakin.
Solid.
Yeah, it is.
Solid.
That's sad.
Bring that Anakin up. We got
a Kenner Colors modern Boba Fett.
Bring that Anakin up. Let's see that repaint job.
So this was in the figure they released, all just this plain gray color.
Oh, the jacket was gray. It was bland.
And same with the boots. It was all same color.
Wow, I'm glad you fixed that up. We should resell your model. It's a great Anakin. It's a great Anakin. I think a
little dusty.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, I don't collect as much anymore as you know, but you did send me that moth.
You have things posed, like when you pose.
Yes,
like what
I
were
do.
you looking for? You have behind you an Obi-Wan Kenobi that Sideshow put out.
Yeah, but he always falls over, so it's like drunk Kenobi leaving the bar.
Well, it's Sideshow has weak knees on a lot of their figures.
They do.
Weak knees and weak ankles, so it's a little difficult to get them in a static pose sometimes.
It is. I've put him upright many times.
Also,
but
he drinks a lot in the desert.
I mean, Kenobi does. So
I'm sure he had an occasional nice adult drink at Dex's, right? Like he would swing by for.
I don't know if it may be someone who's more in depth and in the weeds on High Republic or Jedi lore. Maybe we should ask Joseph this, but like, do the Jedi have a drinking stance? Is there a in moderation or a don't? I don't know.
Isn't that basically the Jedi ethos, particularly in the High Republic, is everything in moderation?
Definitely. And you do have you have the one Jedi, like what's Elzar Mann. He gets down. He gets down a few times, has some adult relations. So I know, and Averos, what's his name, the Jedi Qui-Gon's guy, his buddy. He went off the Jedi wagon, so to speak, and partook in the spoils of the world. So I would. Oh,
do you think there's some Jedi sneaking some death sticks behind the Jedi temple during class breaks?
Yes. 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 In fact, you know what? If Ventress had got back to the temple and gone through a proper Jedi training course, she'd be out back smoking death sticks.
And you can't tell me over the decades that Yoda's not partaking of, I don't know, some of the fungal life on Dagobah.
The fungal life. I think so. Mike Fink says, lose yourself in the moment. There you go. Very Jedi. Obi-Wan had a drink in episode 2. Ranger Donald says, and I want to come back to that Yoda thing. That was one of my favorite moments as a fan. I was sitting outside the Pacific Theaters in Northridge, California, at the Northridge Fashion Center. This is back in the day. You'd buy tickets and you'd have to get there early to get seats, to get good seats. And I was sitting there with my buddy Paul, and I was telling him, I was like, "Look, man, the Jedi are kind of the bad guys here, and I don't agree with that stance now. I justice for the Jedi, but I was a little, what the prequels was dealing with." As you know, Kat, is, the Jedi might have fallen and lost their way. But I was telling him, and this is my buddy who's a police officer, I was like, the Jedi are kind of the bad guys. And I go, look at Obi-Wan, man. He's got a drinking problem. And I'm totally joking. And then we go see the movie, and the first thing Obi-Wan says is, I need a drink. And my friend, he hits me. He's like, God, how did you know? And I was like, I've been telling you, Kenobi's got a problem.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's been there before. He's got a regular order.
Yeah. LQ jumps in. LQ is one of my favorites because LQ will sit there quietly. She'll watch in the back, and all of a sudden she'll jump in with a great comment like this. She says they're herbal. So going back to Yoda, I think Yoda reminds me. I had a boss of mine. This is back in the security days, and he did his 25 years on LAPD. Then he retired. And then he was my regional security director, and then he left that job. And he sat in my office one day. And is like, I'm going to retire, move to the Pacific Northwest, and start a pot farm. And by golly, he did it. He did that. He grows pot, and he's on his farm and outside like Seattle, just smoking. So that's Yoda on Dagobah. I bet he was clean, and then he got to Dagobah, and he's like, well, you know what? I might as well start.
I mean, what else has he got to do? Those days are long.
Yeah, long days.
And I'm sure that he probably sees it as he's communing with the Force.
It's a shortcut to get there.
Yeah, Yeah, that's how he communes with the living Force.
And I think Qui-Gon at one point was like, look, the acid ain't going to kill you. It's just going to open up your mind.
Yeah, Yoda has the dark side cave and the dank side cave.
We're almost done with the show here tonight, but Plume, I'm not going to let you go quite yet. I'm going to bring this next caller on.
I'll slide him.
Put in the Baron Papanoida, George Lucas there. If she's ready, we have another caller here, and I think we're going to ask her an important question. Welcome to the show now from Detroit. Oh, I'm going to have to go back to this view. There you go. From Detroit. The camera wasn't ready. Lauren Romo is here. Lauren, you're on with me, and you're on with Ken Plume. I apologize for both those things.
Wait, guys, I'm landing at Mount Olympus. This is Fortnite, right? We're playing Fortnite right now?
Okay. Are you playing right now? I'd love if you were playing Fortnite right now.
Sorry,
no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
There you go.
I should be now, though. I have to do that next time. What's going on? Yeah, this feels like a Fortnite reunion here.
A little bit, but what's going on with you? You got a question? You got a comment? You got a concern? You must have concerns.
You got a grief?
Well, I mean, who doesn't have concerns? Yeah, right. No, here's my question.
Okay.
I recently got into a algorithm. It was on YouTube, and it got me into a David Blaine magic trick like bonanza somehow.
Okay, a David Blaine bonanza.
Right. It was, and I don't know how, who knows how the algorithm works. But a couple questions. One,
yeah.
Are you a fan of magic like his or all those, David Copperfield, all those other, magicians that are very, very good? And then two, what is the weirdest algorithm you got into on either like YouTube or like Instagram? Like what's the weirdest algorithm that you just started traveling down? And
this
got
is
into
great.
I
like how you're blaming the algorithm as if it
I'm
didn't
blaming the
analyze
algorithm,
where you had come and gone, I think you'd like this.
I don't know. I really don't know how it happened. I swear to God.
I'm gonna say, just you innocently discovered, you did not type in hot magicians or something like that and get there. I'm on board. I'm okay. Okay.
Appreciate
in terms
that.
of magic. I've said this before in other spots. I'll put it on the record here. I'm not a huge fan of magic or magicians or magic entertainers. I've been invited by several members of the Magic Castle in LA to go up there. One day I'm going to get there because I know it's an experience and I do want to experience that. I just don't like magic. That said, one of my favorite performers of all time is Steve Martin, and he very much still considers himself a magician. The second part of the documentary, he goes into magic and all that stuff, and that's where his career started at Disneyland. So I have to be reminded of that and be respectful of it there. But folks like Blaine, I've had a couple people just tell me, I think he's a demon. And you know what? Maybe they're right. I've seen some of his stuff. I'm like Harrison Ford in that clip that's like, get the hell out of my house.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
But I did grow up, and Plume, you might be in the same boat. I grew up watching those David Copperfield specials were big. When he made the Statue of Liberty disappear, walk through the Great Wall of China, like.
To be fair, we had very few options.
We did have very few options.
We were watching at the time. One of the 3 channels we had decided to do a David Copperfield special, so it's not like we had a lot of options.
Yes. But so that the big performance stuff, like I said, I'm not going to go for it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm just too cynical. Also, I'm like, unless you are a demon, I don't know. Like you've learned a trick I haven't figured out. I'm not a smart man. I'm a dumb man. I can't figure out your card trick, but whatever.
Right.
But I do like it. It's fun. The Blaine stuff is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating. I think when I watch some of those videos, his hands have to be so fast to do some of those card tricks. Like, it is impressive. And obviously, you can tell he puts in the work, as all those kind of entertainers do. And it's just, some of the stuff is just insane, like you're saying. Like, it's just like, is he from this planet? Like, it's bizarre. But then you get to those card tricks, and it just, you think you know how he does it, but even if you think you know, his hands are just so fast, and it's just, it's amazing. It really is.
Sounds like we gotta get
the
you
wow factor.
Yeah, she likes the wow.
The wow factor. Yes,
we got to get you to L.A. and we'll get you to the Magic Castle somehow.
Okay, I'm in.
The wow factor. Now, as far as the second question. The algorithm thing. Look, I'm a fan of ASMR, and just watching 1 or 2 of those videos will suddenly put you into weird algorithmic subcultures that I know where I got there. I know how I got there. But it's like you go from one ASMR haircutting video, that will take you to an ASMR haircut on the street in India video. Next thing you know, you've got an entire algorithm of earwax cleaning videos from Japan. And you're like, I know how I got here. I don't want to be here.
Right.
But then also it's kind of relaxing. Maybe I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
Mine, I'll tell you mine. Mine is very bizarre. So this is for Instagram. So I watch the reels. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do. And for some reason, watching people have cameras while they're driving like a motorcycle, I am terrified. And this is no joke, terrified of motorcycles. But I have watched and I follow for no reason. Like, it just makes no sense. But I follow those people, and I just enjoy them driving around with, like, on their motorcycle. It makes no sense.
So you like to watch somebody else go somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yes, Plume. If you want to put it in simplistic terms, yes.
But I've watched, how to get to places, how to get to that airport, or how to get. I've watched that. So, so you're not even like motorcycle hit by truck crash. You're not. You're just you're just watching them drive.
Yeah, like they do. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Here's the thing, though. Romo, I think that is your form of ASMR. I think that is a trigger that relaxes you.
It could
Does it relax you, or do you get anxious? Do you like backseat drive? Like, why aren't they passing? Why?
No. Like, it is. Like, I think you're right.
If you're gonna ride that close, just pass.
It's relaxing. Like, it's fascinating to watch these people go as fast as they do, weave in and out of traffic, or do like these whatever like wheelies or whatever. And it's I'm fascinated. And
you would have been.
And again,
great.
I am terrified of motorcycles.
At one of those
I am in an
driving
algorithm. That would be
You should be a proctor at a driving school.
Yeah. Channel member and Fortnite partner Ranger Donald says magic while driving with a helmet cam is Romo's ultimate video. You need to find that.
See, if that ever comes up, that would be my ultimate.
And you're riding with David Blaine, and he makes the car in front of you disappear.
Voila.
That is, that would be peak.
Ticks all the boxes
stuff for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all the boxes.
Get a VR helmet Get one of those VR headsets.
Yeah.
And just watch these videos nonstop.
Yeah.
Like get
I
one
would-
of that the Apple goggles or whatever that thing's called and watch it and
Yeah.
Get a secondhand
3D-ish.
Google Glass. It's probably cheaper.
Yeah,
there
do
you
that.
go.
Whatever works.
Google Glass.
Do that. I want to get Plume's answer here. One of the weird ones, though, and I want to shout out our buddy First Rate Nate in chat, says the Central Coast, my hometown, during commute hours is turning into LA, and I agree with that. So First Rate Nate, put a camera on your head and tape it like I said it like it was the 80s. Record it and then put it up YouTube, and Romo will watch your video
I
every
swear to
time.
God, I will.
Oh, the algorithm will serve it up to her. You won't even have to send a link.
Oh, easily.
Exactly. Before I get Plume's answer, I'm curious about his algorithm. One of the more troubling ones recently is I had a couple friends who don't like plane travel, and I'm pretty good with plane travel, how to get around airports and just dealing with the anxiety of it. And I actually very much, I used to be afraid of flying, so I'm not. It's not an easy task to just set aside anxieties over flying. But I found a series of YouTube videos of pilots or former pilots explaining things about flight. Like one video was like, here's the dings you're hearing when you take off. Here's how takeoff works. And it's just designed to very comfortably say, hey, we got this. Yes, things might happen, but we got this. So I had a couple of those videos up. I sent them to a couple friends of mine. And then my algorithm started sending me plane crash videos or videos of last words of pilots recorded on. And I'm like, I didn't ask for this. But my anxiety's going to come back. I got over my fear of flying in like 2008.
Right.
I don't want this again.
Right.
So the algorithm can hurt you on that.
You said that one pilot going, oh, that's new.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then nothing.
Yeah, the
silence.
Last words were
that's my fear. I think too. Kind of it's like eventually the algorithm's gonna show me just like horrible crashes.
It's gonna show
and
you.
then I'm done. And then I'm done.
It's gonna show you David
Where did
Blaine
the wing
killing
go?
people.
It's David Blaine on the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Laserbolt says aviation is fascinating. As I always say, he's got some great videos on his channel. Check them out.
Yep.
But if you want to relax, he's got some great drone videos that he's done himself that are relaxing. All right, Mr. Plume, reveal your truth here. Where's the weird spot the algorithm is taking you?
Oh, I don't know. I could probably load up, unmute my TikTok account and see.
You're TikTok. That's right. You're a TikTok a lot. Yeah,
TikTok.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let's see. Let me turn the volume down as well.
The TikTok algorithm is strong. And Grace was once telling me, she's like, I don't know how it happened, but I got into shirtless Kylo Ren TikTok and I can't get out of it. I was like, okay, I guess it's the algorithms.
I'll give you the caption for the first video.
That bad though. Could be that bad.
You'll get the caption of the first video. Okay.
Caption of the first video. Watch what my 6 cats do when their automatic feeder drops the food.
Okay.
So I'll hit refresh.
Okay. It's a great game.
We got an ad. Billie Eilish joins Lana Del Rey at Coachella to perform video games.
Okay, so that could either be music.
Right.
You're a music fan. It could be either music or it could be video games, which you play. So there's a lot there.
We got a history video documenting the person to survive the world record for the longest free fall in an elevator.
Sorry.
Wow, that's out there.
This is the account Disastrous History.
Disastrous history. All right.
In fact, I think that might be the first time that account's been served up. But that's
that's fascinating.
Here's someone in their card is talking about how much they hate AI.
Okay, that's fair.
That's fair.
That's fair. You got an anti-AI algorithm. That's a good thing.
Behind the scenes of Only Murders in the Building, filming in New York.
I like that.
Ooh,
okay,
that's a good one.
Now see, what took you there? What took you there? Is it Martin Short, Steve Martin, or Selena Gomez? What took you to that algorithm? None are right. None are wrong answers.
Honestly, it could be any of those things. It could just be behind the scenes. It could be New York content.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a little history of Central Park video earlier about the last survey stake that's left in a boulder from the 1800s from when they were surveying Central Park.
I'm gonna guess Selena. I'm gonna guess it was Selena Gomez that got Plume to that.
It was Selena Gomez at the last measuring stake at Central Park.
There you go. There you go.
What we didn't know is that it was
Full
Steve
circle.
Martin that hammered that stake in.
Back in the day. That's fascinating stuff.
Yeah,
there. All right.
So this
All
is
right.
that's the wonderful things that are getting.
Okay.
Lot
Let us know in the
lot of current
chat. What's your
event
guys'
stuff.
weirdest too?
Yeah, I want to know some stuff in the chat.
What about
First rate
your
Nick.
algorithms, Ken? You haven't talked about your algorithms. Where are things taking you?
I did. I said the weird Japanese wax
plane,
removal
yeah.
videos in the
Yeah,
planes.
but that was based on stuff that you do. What do you sit and watch? What is your? 'Cause
I
you're not
watch
a
a lot.
TikTok person.
Not a TikTok. You send me TikTok videos. I watch about one every 5 times just to have a conversation.
You'll load them up like a grandparent.
Yeah. No, but see, like, I'll bring it up, and it's like, all right. So, one of my new ASMR videos just dropped right now, so that's on my. Thank God it showed up my algorithm. Robert Reich, Bo the Fifth Column. It's a lot of politics stuff all day. That's mostly what I want. Legion Miller, who I enjoy. Cynical Historian, who's great. Force Center, we have our new episode. Yeah, it's CNN. Like, it's boring right now. It's informative, but I don't have. And then ASMR massage videos.
I'm gonna send you one of the motorcycle ones, Ken, and I'm just gonna. I hope it
Please.
gets into your algorithm.
Please.
That's
And
what I'm
the
gonna
breaking
do.
news that 11 Arizona Trump fake electors were indicted. I've got important stuff
There
to
you
watch.
go.
I've got important stuff to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
But sometimes it switches. And now because I'm working on this other channel doing some writing, and I'm having to look up some things I wouldn't normally look at. So 2 weeks ago, I wrote a script on the conspiracy around Hitler escaping. All false. He died. He killed himself in his bunker. But for a week, I've had nothing but weird and not problematic, but just weird Nazi World War II history videos, which I enjoy watching. They're fast, but it's like, I was even telling Grace, I'm like, I'm concerned, like, if this comes up, I'm going to have some explaining to do.
So all of a sudden, you'll have a knock on the door.
Well,
Having
I'll leave you with the
questions
last
from-
thing that came up when I'm just about to close TikTok. It's from the account Side Hustles and Saving Animals with the caption, y'all, farm life is crazy. Hashtag geese, hashtag goose, hashtag geese of TikTok, hashtag gosling, hashtag baby bird, hashtag baby birds, hashtag broody hen.
Broody head.
All right, now I need to know.
And it's a bunch of geese on a trampoline in somebody's backyard.
So the Gosling got you there. That's my guess. Gosling got Bloom got you.
If you want to manipulate the algorithm, put Gosling.
Yeah, put Gosling. Ethan says this: cyst popping videos, which parlayed into ear cleaning videos, which then led to teeth cleaning videos. It's quite a rabbit hole. Yeah, there you go. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
You go from popping cysts to cleaning teeth.
On Pop Talk.
Pop cyst pop talk. All right, we're gonna start wrapping. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us when your next broadcast is. When can they expect to hear some of your content?
Yeah, so Galactic Podcast will have one. We have the 2 latest ones out right now. A new one will drop next week after we record this Sunday. And then my other show I do with my friend Katie, that drops next week as well. She Made Me Watch This podcast. So
love it. Great concept. Yeah. Love that. Star Wars in a Galaxy in chat says TikTok basically got me into Taylor Swift. That'll do it. You get in that algorithm, suddenly you're on. I think I became a Paramore fan late in the game. I wasn't a Paramore fan in the mid 2000s, whatever, not my style of music. I wasn't until the last couple of years where I had watched a Paramore video, something popped up. Next thing you know, my Instagram algorithm was Hayley Williams dancing. I was just like, who is this delightful person? Now I'm a fan, and it does work that way. Romo, thank you so much. I'll let you go, and we'll talk. Good luck to your Lions in the draft.
All right, you too. Talk.
Oh, I cut her off in the end because I'm an a-hole. Mr. Plume, take us home. Tell us you got a new long-form interview up. Bonnie Burton, our friend, who was on the show here recently, you sat down with you for a long interview.
She's a guest on Force 5, which is the show I have where I have a guest on to discuss their 5 favorite Star Wars collectibles, and they rank them, and basically it's just an excuse to have a conversation. So we talked for many, many hours about a whole bunch of things, collecting, her time at Lucasfilm, various projects she's done over the course of her long and storied career. Great conversation, great person. And there's so many more episodes out there, including one with you. And you came on Open Chat, which was just you watching me open toys for a couple of hours.
Which is more entertaining than that you could even think.
And as awkward as one
Yeah.
could possibly imagine.
As one could possibly want. Love that there. Thank you, Ken. I'll see you soon, I'm sure, on TikTok.
Ready
Have a
up.
good night. All right. We're going to go to Crown Town as we stay sometimes there. Thank you to everyone who hung out on the show tonight. Blathering Live, thanks for anyone who called in. You too can call in on future episodes by becoming a channel member here on YouTube. You also get access to the broadcast. I do 20 minutes of coffee, which will be returning next week. And then also, if you become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/KenNapzok, you get the link to call in as well. And as I said earlier in the show, I'm doing now movie commentaries on my Patreon page. Started with Young Guns. It's just me, a drink, and the Young Guns film. Watching that. It is available on Patreon to members at any level, but also it's available for purchase. I say that like a flight attendant on the Patreon shop. You can check that out there if you want. All right, my friends, a lot of fun. We'll do it next week, and maybe next week's the week I do 2 or 3 times. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see you next time here on The Blathering.